Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday,
27th.
May 27th Select Board meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxborough Cable Access. We are going to take a motion to enter into executive session, and then we will be back at 7 o'clock.
Motion to move into executive session to conduct strategy session in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining session or contract negotiations with non-union personnel regarding the contract for Police Chief Michael Grace.
Second.
Any other discussion?
No?
All those in favor?
Mark, yes.
Bill, yes.
We'll call for executive. Stephanie, yes.
Amy, yes.
Debbie, yes.
Okay, we'll see everybody at 7 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, May 27th Select Board meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxborough Cable Access. Start with the pledge. Chief Grace, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody here for citizens input? Nope. Katie, anybody online? Okay, super. All right, we're just a couple of minutes short for the
Oh,
public
actually,
hearing.
it's 7:05 on my cell phone.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep,
good,
yep,
okay.
we're good.
That clock's
Perfect.
slow.
All right, good enough. All right, so we can go right into the public hearing. Okay. So do you want to, who's giving the,
There isn't a meeting.
no reading to enter into
Public hearing?
public?
Steve?
No?
Is there a public hearing notice, though?
There's no public, we didn't post it in the paper, right? So,
It's not
Oh, okay.
required.
right, okay.
So we don't have to
You don't have to
So we
read
have to go-
anything?
Okay,
Okay.
all right, perfect. Okay, so,
We have to, still have to open the public hearing.
You can make a motion to open.
Yeah.
It's not required, but it won't hurt.
Okay.
Make
okay.
a motion to discuss and vote on alleged violations of Valley Point all alcoholic beverage license, 9 Mechanic Street.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Aye. Okay, so how do we want to start? Do we want to have Chief Grace come up or?
Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have our,
Do you want me to sit next to you?
sure, come on.
Okay. You can give us all the info and then if you need it, can speak after that? Does that sound
We
good?
have our town council here.
Nice to meet you all.
Are you seconding? Are you gonna second?
Yeah, we,
Okay, you're gonna second.
One last day. Hang in there. What do you need? Hang in there.
Council, anything before we start?
Not unless the board has any questions for me. More than happy to advise the board on the procedure. Not sure if it's something you're very familiar with, or if you want me to provide any
No,
guidance.
I haven't been in it before, and I know Amy hasn't probably, so it'd probably be good just to give us the outline.
So a liquor license is just what it sounds like. It's a license, right? It's a privilege, not a right. So this board gives them out. There's explicit conditions on a license, but there's also rules and procedures that you have in town. So if you have any kind of an incident at a licensed establishment like we've had in this case, the board has the discretion to review what's happened. So that's the purpose of this hearing, is to sort of review the evidence at perhaps a cursory level or even a more detailed level as appropriate, and then decide whether there's been a violation. There's, at the highest level, there's state statute. At the intermediate level, there's state regulation, and then at the lowest level, there's the municipal rules. And so, in this case, we noticed 3 potential violations. One is for a disturbance, which is technically a violation, if found, would be a violation of the state statute, but that would be through the regulations. And then the other violations, potential violations that you're investigating this evening, are of the local rules. One of those would be having alcoholic beverages or consuming alcoholic beverages outside of the licensed premises. And the other violation of the local rules, again, noticed, this board's going to decide whether it's happened. The other violation would be failure to call police and/or ambulance following a disturbance. And with that, I can help you through the process, but I'm pretty sure you intuitively know what to do. And appropriately so, we have the police department led by Chief Grace ready to address the board.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Grace, the police chief. To my right is Lieutenant Hoffman, and to my left is Detective Mark Monenberger. In this case, Detective Hoffman oversees the detective divisions. He oversees the investigation of all major crimes within the community, and Detective Monenberger was the lead investigator in the criminal matter that is involved in this, which we won't be getting too much into. We're just going to focus primarily on the liquor issues. So I'm going to give a summary of the event that occurred, and then I'm going to go through each violation, citing the violations, and then I'm going to present some photographs supporting the violations. So I'll start now. Any questions? No. So on Saturday, March 22nd, around 2 p.m., the Foxborough police are notified by the Milford PD that there had been an altercation the night before around 11:45 p.m. or maybe into beyond the midnight in the parking lot at the Rally Point Inn. During the altercation, a male party was injured. He will remain unnamed due to a pending criminal investigation. For clarification, prior to a hearing and complaints being issued from the district court, the information is not a public record and can be released by the police department under the Public Records Law, Exemption F. The initial reporting party was the injured party's girlfriend who was on scene. The girlfriend reported that her boyfriend, the injured party, was numb from the waist down and had been transported to Milford Hospital the following morning, and then he was then transferred to the UMass Memorial Hospital in Worcester. The injured party, as of today, remains paralyzed from the waist down and is in a rehab facility. The call from Milford PD notifying the Foxborough about a past altercation involving a serious injury prompted the department's on-call notification to the CID division, which is the Criminal Investigation Division. The patrol officers, under the supervision of the day shift sergeant, immediately responded to the scene at the rally point to evaluate and secure if anything that could have been relevant to the crime scene, immediate notification. Detective Bonenberger was also notified and was en route as well. Video surveillance was collected from the rally point. The video confirmed that there had been several altercations in the parking lot the night before and into the morning, which is being handled at the criminal level. It also revealed several liquor violations. Just to let you know, I didn't hand these out first because everybody would look at the pictures before I started talking. Okay?
You're not wrong.
Okay. So as previously noted by counsel, there are 3 violations. So I'll start with the first one. Section 2, subsection 8. On video, we can see that bartender Cindy Farrelly out in the parking lot after the major altercation had occurred, walking around trying to calm people down. We can see on video parties in the parking lot that are hostile, agitated, and not in control of themselves. Clearly, the Foxborough police should have been notified immediately to end this disturbance. That is picture number 1. In that picture, the bartender Cindy is dressed in dark clothes and is blonde hair. You'll see an example of one of the parties flailing their arms, all agitated, and the bartender trying to calm them down. Violation number 2, section 2, subsection 27. The video of the doorway shows several patrons leaving the bar with alcohol beverages in their hands. For this, we only took one picture but there were multiple people leaving with the alcohol. There's no need to do additional pictures. There is no control of the doorway by the establishment. This violation speaks for itself. The licensee is required to ensure alcohol beverages do not leave their establishment. That is picture number 2. And violation number 3. This is under section 2, subsection 30. The injured party can be seen on video sitting and lying on the ground. You do not have the video, but we have it. That's just a clip of the video. Several people are seen carrying him to his vehicle, where he is placed in the back seat of a car. The bartender, Cindy Farrelly, is present the whole time and is seen opening the car door to facilitate the injured party into the back seat of the car. Licensees, under our regulations, are required to call the police and ambulance and take all reasonable steps to assist patrons who are injured in or outside their premises. And that is picture 3. The 3 violations are clear and, in my opinion, undeniable. But I do also want to note that the owner and the staff from the Rally Point Inn cooperated fully in the investigation. The investigation further determined, based on the witness statements and interior surveillance footage, that the staff had no prior knowledge that an altercation was going to take place outside the establishment. And I'll elaborate that in a little bit. There was no big scene inside the bar where people were having an altercation, where everybody should have known, and then it exited. The intel or the video shows that the parties involved in the altercation outside were off to the side. They were having words, but if you were a bartender or an employee, you wouldn't have noticed it as they exited out. So I do want to note that. It wasn't chaos, it wasn't overcrowding. It was these individuals who had a beef of some sort, who took it outside. But as you saw cited in the violation, that once it was outside, once the staff became aware, they had obligations. And that is the essence of the violations.
Chief, was there, just curious, was there another bartender on, or was Cindy the only bartender?
There were 2 bartenders.
Okay, so she left the bar and the other bartender was at the bar? Do we know that, or?
Yeah.
The other bartender stayed. And do we know what made Cindy leave? Did somebody then yell in and say, there's a fight in the parking lot, or?
A patron alerted the bartender.
Okay, all right.
And is it just those 2 employees, or were there, because I assume to your point, being able to secure doors and stuff, bartenders can't do that from their location, so who's managing the potential at doors?
Based on our investigation, no one. And in this establishment, the restrooms are closer to the doorway. So if you go to the restroom, you kind of leave the bar area, and then you're able to exit.
Just so I'm 100% clear, the doorway that they were going out, was that into the parking lot on the bank side?
Yes.
Okay. Where there is kind of an outside venue at times?
Yes, yes. But that was not operational.
Right, no, okay, I understand. I just want to make sure I've got that picture right. I mean,
I don't have any questions.
No, I don't have any.
Pretty self.
It's pretty clear.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to say, from my perspective, the reason we have the rules is for the public safety. And, to not follow them, obviously, you can't take into account the injury, but you can take into account that, something better could have happened had they just followed the rules that we have in their licensing setup.
There are several options.
Yeah.
And our response times within the police department are within minutes.
Well, even the emergency medical.
It may be less.
Yeah. Okay.
Was there a history of violations?
No, Katie, the look back is 3 years, and there is none.
So is this considered a quote-unquote first offense?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, well, obviously, this is right up my alley, because this is what I do for a living. About, you know, whether I've been behind a bar or just serving. It's tough, because Chief said a couple of things, that's why I asked if there was another bartender. Chief said a couple of things. You know, I've worked at establishments that you would never think that alcohol ended up outside, but then, you know, you come in the next morning and, you know, out front you'll see a beer can or, you know, or something. So it's tough, because a bartender can't see, and I'm guessing we don't have a rule with the license where somebody has to be at the door. That's not part of, you know, so
Well, it's not necessarily that they have to be at the door, they have to have control of the door. So if they don't have control of the ins and
Okay.
outs, that's on them.
yeah.
It's not on the bartender necessarily, it's
Yeah.
on how they staff.
The
Yeah.
physical layout of all the
Oh, yeah.
different facilities.
Was there a manager on duty, or by any chance was one of the bartenders, the manager on duty that night?
So the manager is the owner.
Okay. Were you guys on premises when it happened? No. And nobody.
Do you want us to step back so you
No,
can?
no,
Okay.
just stick with who you got in front of you.
Yeah, nobody acting as, nobody acting as manager if the owners were not. So, yeah, because I should address to you guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So we're done with them.
Yeah, so do you guys know if there was so the owner is the manager. You know, for those at home, he did nod when I asked if he was there, he nodded no. So, do you guys know if there was someone acting as manager?
The only two employees we are aware of are the two bartenders.
Okay, which is a problem, maybe not a violation, but a problem, that there's always going to be somebody, and that's why I asked if it was one of the bartenders, because she's serving drinks. Somebody else has to be on the premises to deal when somebody says, hey, there's a fight outside. The bartender shouldn't be out there, you know, having to deal with it. I guess for me, you know, yeah, there are multiple violations here. I feel like the one that was most able to be, to not have turned out the way it did was for public safety to be called, to deal with an injured party and a fight going on.
Yeah, clearly, I don't know if you're asking me a question or making a statement, so I'm not.
I guess it was half and half.
Okay, it's half and half.
I know that's what's supposed to happen.
But I can tell you, if
So-
there's injured parties and you call for 911,
Yeah.
you get first responders who are trained to deal with medical, and the police are trained to deal with disturbances.
Yeah.
So first aid can be rendered, additional EMS can be brought in, evaluated, and the situation can be calmed. And then the investigation can start about how we got there, if we were notified, which we should have been.
Yeah,
Right, without losing evidence or
yeah.
information.
And I'm not sure if this is a fair question or not. If it's not a fair question to answer, you could just say either you don't know or it's not something you want to answer. So if help had been called, could this have turned out differently? Is it fair to ask if the person, or do we not even know? If the outcome would have been
I
different?
think your question is what everybody else is all thinking right now.
Okay,
I don't think it would have hurt
okay.
to have been able to stabilize that individual and prevent any further damage.
I wasn't
to
sure
the
if
injury.
if it was a fair question
Yeah,
to
I-
ask. I didn't want to put you on the spot either.
That's why the regulation exists, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
The assumption is.
Yeah,
So did you also say you had recommendations too, or?
No, I don't, no.
Oh, okay.
No, this is when I hand it to you.
No, I thought so, but I thought I heard you say in recommendations. So no, I misheard.
Oh, you know what, maybe I misspoke, Doc.
No,
I'm sorry.
we're good. I'm the one that's getting older. I probably misheard.
okay, and we do have, does everybody have the paper that town council that Stephen had given us? I'm not sure if I just got this during, Durban.
I read it, but I
Durban
didn't
prep.
print it.
Yeah, so it just gives us, basically it gives us
Options, yeah, I read that.
what the
Yeah, yeah.
options were for each violation. I guess
Yeah,
what,
just so I could take a peek while we're doing it.
yeah, I guess what,
It was on.
yeah,
line.
I mean,
There are the rules and regulations
Yeah.
for the town, also in community. It's the last link. It's not the bestly named, if you need reference.
yeah.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yep.
What the police department pointed out to me subsequent to writing that memo, and you can see this in photo 3, is that one of the individuals who was participating in moving the individual into the vehicle that came was the bartender. So that's not accounted for in my memo. I would just suggest to the board that there was a prior ABCC case where an individual refusing medical aid was a mitigating factor, but I think this photo takes that away. And also, given the condition of the individual, I would, all the information you have in there is good, but I think this additional piece of information would say that, you know, the full, you would be justified in falling anywhere under the spectrum that a first violation permits you to fall under the local regulations.
Yeah.
Okay, can we hear from,
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
thank you, Chief. Thank you, guys. Please state your names and
Good
the
evening,
record
yeah.
for us.
My name is Attorney Daniel Rich, and I represent Omari Walker, the gentleman to my far right, and Tina Walker, the lady to my immediate right. They are the owners and the principal of this establishment. We had gone over pretty much what the chief had said earlier. We had talked to Omari and to Tina. Unfortunately, since it happened, they're not going to fight these allegations. It is what it is, okay? It was an unfortunate incident that this individual got hurt. I'm just going to explain a little bit later on. But what we did talk about and what they've done and what they will do in the future, hopefully, is they're going to hire a security guard for Fridays and Saturday night. Well, they have hired a security guard just for this purpose, because I think it was Madam Chairman, you said the bartender's inside, she can't be doing, or he can't be doing everything and leaving his post. So they've hired this security guard to watch that. They've also put security cameras outside. So in this particular instance, they would have seen earlier what has gone outside. I think even the chief mentioned it, that they don't know what's going on outside, because there was actually no fight inside. There may have been some words, and so it was carried outside, and that's what protect. So they put some security cameras. They're also going to have a written policy. We talked about these alcohol beverages, people taking their cans out. We talked about possibly just putting them in the paper cups and keeping the cans and the bottles inside, because you're not supposed to let the cans and the bottles go outside.
What's the alcohol?
But you're not supposed to let the alcohol go
Yeah.
outside either. It's
Yeah.
not, it's not whether it's a can or a bottle.
If somebody's got a can, say a paper cup, you don't want them to go outside with it. It's going to be kind of tough to check every time. Hey, bring that paper cup back here. You can, but at least the cans, my understanding is sometimes outside there was some fighting going on, the cans were thrown or something of that nature.
Yeah.
So you're right, you don't want alcohol outside. I'm not downplaying that at all.
Yeah.
But if you keep the cans and the bottles inside, I mean, if fight goes outside, maybe a paper cup is not as lethal as maybe a beer bottle going across the room. But anyways, they've taken these measures. Why the bartender did not call the police is unknown. She's supposed to be here tonight. I don't think she's made it. My understanding is she went outside trying to calm the situation down. There is a video which I just saw tonight, two parties fighting, or actually, not the fight that we saw. It was one individual was very agitated and they were trying to calm him down. She should have actually called the police at that time. Why she didn't, I don't know why. I mean, her understanding was she talked to the people that were tending to him and they said he was okay. When they picked him up, she opened the car door. I don't think she helped him get inside, and they actually went home. I was told, I'm not sure that's positive, but he went home and he didn't go to the hospital till the next day. But you're right, they should have called the police officers. They should have, and obviously the police, if the police had gotten there, they would have assessed the situation and they would have called the appropriate fire department or medics to come over and to assist it. They didn't do it. We can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's just that we're going to prevent it from happening again. I don't know if this board has a policy of, some selectmen board or some towns have a policy, first offense, second offense, third offense. I understand there are 3 offenses here, but they all emanate from the same evening, the same hour or 2 or half hour, whatever that case may be. So again, if you have any questions, Ms. Walker or Mr. Walker will answer any questions that you may have.
Yeah, I mean, just so you know, I'm not sure if you were able to see these. We don't have an extra copy, do we?
Of what?
Of the violations, just so.
I received a copy of the letter the chief had sent. It listed 3 violations.
Does it have, like, we have one with four violations, like a chain of.
We have violations, if it's violation 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, this came from Ms. Duncan. Ms. Duncan, in my letter, there were 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 3
Oh,
violations. But this is a first offense violation, that's what we're looking
Yeah,
at.
so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, I don't know, 4 is, the license is taken away, so maybe they didn't, I don't think anyone was
That's 4th
planning
violation.
on us. 4, yeah, as I said, maybe he didn't have.
No, 4th violation, not, so this is a
Oh,
first
no, yeah,
violation.
I know the
Okay.
4th violation, but I'm saying he only has 3 written down, so maybe they didn't include
No,
the
you're not
license
following.
going about. Yeah.
This first violation counts all 3 of those that we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, I
In other
know.
words, they haven't had one that they've
Yeah.
had already in front of us, so.
Yeah, no, I know. Oh, you meant 3 different violations?
Right, that's
Yeah,
all I-
okay,
yeah.
all right. I thought it meant you have just, yeah, no, we have 4 would be first offense, first through 4 offenses. So, I guess a couple of things. I mean, these are just suggestions. I don't, if it's not in your license, there is a couple of things, like when we put the liquor license in someone's name, some of the questions we ask is, what is your presence going to be in the establishment when the establishment is
Absolutely,
open? So, and no one, listen, nobody can be there 20, every moment of the establishment being open. So I think you already said, I would strongly recommend, like I said, just a personal recommendation, that there's somebody, because when something does happen, usually they want to, it doesn't necessarily have to be Mr. Walker because his name's on the liquor license, but usually there's a manager on record. Sometimes it's not the owner that holds it. Sometimes it's the person who's going to spend the most time on premises that holds the liquor license. So, I mean, that's just a recommendation. I don't think, so for me, it's a first violation, obviously. Some of it is pretty serious. Like, I don't think we need to go to violation 1, maybe the worst that we could hand down, but I think it's above a letter of reprimand
I think,
for myself. Does
I think
anybody
before we
else
get
have-
to that, I think if anybody else has any questions of them?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, guys, I'm jumping way ahead.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other?
No, it's like any other time it happens, it's unfortunate. And, better decisions could have been made, but would have, could have, should have. And I like what you've already instituted as a result of that conflict with the new night guard and the new cameras.
They do have a person on site, it's like an assistant manager. He lives on the premises because they have rooms there. So he's not the manager. Tina is the manager, but he does oversee everything. Unfortunately, he wasn't called that night either.
And how often are you guys there as, managing?
In the last 30 days, I've had some medical issues, so I haven't been there much, but most of the time, I'm there 7 days a week. Yeah, for the most part. Unfortunately, in the last 30 days, I've been kind of off and on, and my husband has a full-time job, so he's not there a whole lot, but he's stepped in the last 30 days to help out with employee management.
Thank you.
Amy?
Have you retrained your staff?
So we have an entire staff meeting agenda, mapped out, but we wanted to come here first and get any more feedback and any more information that we could implement to be able to make sure that when we sit down with them, we are very clear. I mean,
I called every single bartender and immediately said, if there are any issues, call the police, don't ask any questions. So I wanted to make sure they knew that what happened. We didn't find out until weeks later that there was a serious injury. So at the end of the day, we know that this is serious. We respect the law. We respect the police. Like we said, I was called the next day and asked to watch the video. I didn't know the severity of anything at that point in time. But once we learned and once we understood that our bartender actually held the door open for the gentleman as he got in the car, we were disgusted. And wanted to make it known to all bartenders that they had to call the police. We also went out and bought cameras that very same day, and for the past 2 weeks we've had security on every Friday and Saturday night. So we take this serious. We love this community. We love the place, and we don't want to be a nuisance. And we take full responsibility for what happened, and we are going to do everything in our power to make sure nothing like that ever happen again.
Thank you.
No questions to them right yet. When we deliberate, I've got some statements.
Sure. Okay. All right, so I somewhat started. Why don't you
Why don't
guys
we
have
let
some
them
questions
go
about
back
this?
then, because we're done with them, right?
Oh, yeah, unless,
No, I have no other questions.
okay. Yep. You guys can,
So you
guys
can go back. Thank you.
and sit down. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, I kind of started just a thought process for the deliberation, so why don't, Bill or Doc, you want to start with some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, the minor one, could be a letter or reprimand. Is certainly, first-time offense of carrying bottles out of the liquor, out of the restaurant. But I can't think past the fact that a bartender who's been a bartender probably for a while did not know or did not call public safety and first responder during that incident. I know you have no excuse for her. She didn't come in today, so we couldn't ask her what her thought process was. But to me, that's a serious violation. And I would think, and I would want a more serious reprimand going forward, for that one alone. We don't know what would have happened, but certainly me being in healthcare and sideline of many athletic events, the quicker you get first responders there, the less potential for serious problems down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Doc. I think the issue to me here is that we have rules and regulations. If we're not going to stand behind those rules and regulations in a strong way, we're basically putting ourselves up at risk as well, because I think, quite honestly, we're not doing the job that we should be doing. So, to me, there's definitely a suspension in this because of that. And agree wholeheartedly with Doc. If we were talking and the chief was in here talking about the fact that they let somebody walk out with a beer can or something, I might have a little bit different feeling on here. But this is right in the regulations, is what they're supposed to do as far as notifying public safety. If their staff doesn't know that, shame on the establishment, shame on the staff, but shame on the establishment. All of our rules and regulations should be well documented and well known by their staff. Again. Unfortunately, the owners aren't there at this particular time. They would have known what to do. However, that's no excuse for the fact that we have, this violation. So that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Do you ladies know what our options are? Were you able to see that?
Yeah.
No?
Oh, I do.
Oh, yes,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
So I'm just going to read it just so people at home know, so they understand, what could possibly happen here. The first violation, there could be a letter of reprimand and/or suspension of up to 3 days, or both, with an optional closing hour restriction of 11 p.m. for a period of 10 days. So we can pick part of that, I mean, if we really felt like we had to, we could include all of it. Obviously, when it says suspension, that's just for liquor, correct? So they could be open for food, to serve food, but they just would, the suspension would be
Their liquor license.
not being able to serve alcohol.
That's true.
And that restriction of 11 PM for a period up to 10 days. So we could do that for 1 day, we could do that 10 days. Did you girls have, like, something you want to say specifically about deliberating what we,
Well, I think it rises itself above, it's raised itself above a letter of reprimand, and I agree with those that spoke before me that it needs to be reflected in the decision we make for a final answer. There were some bad decisions made there, and it only needed to be one right answer, and that was to call 911.
Yeah, I tend to agree with everybody. I think the letter of reprimand is not enough. I'd like to see some type of a suspension.
yeah. Well, and as the violations go on, I don't know that I've been on the board or that I've watched a select board meeting when, most of the time it's an underage drinking, somebody did leave. I don't know if I've seen anybody actually get hurt. In the past, I feel like I've seen the select board, of course, different board, maybe, start with saying, okay, well, we're going to suspend the license for 1 day. The restriction of hours is interesting because they always say nothing good happens after midnight, right? So, that kind of holds back to more hours of people drink. I mean, obviously, people start to consume. I don't know if anybody was overserved. Usually, that's when this stuff starts. People have had too much alcohol, and then they start to, fight or talk or throw things or whatever. So, I mean, we could most certainly hit on the lower side of the different things, unless.
Yeah, I'm going to throw something out at you, and I appreciate you guys being here and all that you've done for the community, but I'm sorry, if we're able to, I'd like to see a 7-day liquor license suspension.
I think we're limited to the 3, though.
You're limited to 3.
Oh, I thought if there was something more egregious, we could go a little bit higher. No, did I read that wrong? And thanks for being here, obviously. I thought in reading some of the examples in the back that we could go higher, but I may have just been assuming.
Those examples were ABCC decisions where those communities would not have been limited by the same local rules and regulations that Foxborough has adopted. So Foxborough.
Some of them were approved by what the board, they approved what the board's decisions were, and some of them they denied what the board's.
That's true. In Foxborough, you're limited by your local rules. So the first violation is a letter of reprimand and/or suspension of up to 3 days. There is a provision in your local rules that says if the board finds that it's hearing that the license holder's actions were grievous, the board may add an additional violation to the number of violations being applied. So in other words, as I interpret that, you could treat a first like a second if you found that the licensee's actions were grievous. That term's not defined in the regs.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have to be very careful. The fact that somebody got hurt to the degree they got hurt is not what we're voting on here. What we're voting on is the violation of our rules and regulations for them having their license. So you have to take that out of your mind as far as that's not, yes, that's horrible, and you'd always hope nobody got hurt. But the fact is, what did they do, which the chief outlined very clearly, the 3 things that they did that are in violation of our rules and regulations, and what are we making as a decision there? And I agree with you, Doc. I would go with the 3-day suspension, and I would consider, maybe 5 days at the 11-hour closing. The only question I have, and maybe you can answer this, is are we held to what 3 days Or can we say you can pick the 3 days, or can we say we has to be a weekend day, or, how does that?
That is
fall?
at your discretion, and you have some considerable flexibility in picking the days. You could have the days be consecutive, you could have them all be weekend days, you could have none of them be weekend days, you could have all of them be served, you could have one or two of them be served, one or two held in abeyance for a period of a year pending no further violations. There's lots of different creative ways to do this, but the bottom line is it is the board's discretion as the licensing authority to decide what days the suspension will be served.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in the past, maybe I've seen, if you say, okay, this is going to be Monday, Tuesday,
Right.
Wednesday, it's a difficult decision because it's hard to have an establishment hurt that bad financially, but yet there is a severity of, I might go for, I'm going to throw it out, like you say. If are you girls thinking in that 3-day range?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we throw out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, hit a Friday night, or do a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Unless you guys, if you feel that strongly, it is a first violation, and if you guys feel that the maximum is where we should be, listen, an establishment losing their liquor license for 1 day is quite a hardship on them financially. I'm not saying they don't deserve it. There was a pretty bad violation. If by chance, the one thing I will say, I do feel like I can see the feel I'm getting is that you guys absolutely understand how severe this was. I don't feel like you're here saying, hey, we did everything right. So for me, that gives a little bit, maybe we hit with like a high night of volume. The other thing we could do is we could also have them, shut down at 11 o'clock. Like I said, that late night is what creates an issue as well. So, do you guys feel like you want to, I kind of think we should make the nights, make them, if you guys want 3 nights, make them 3 consecutive and be done with, instead of picking, going back. But I think where we can pick one night, at least one night has to be a night that is a busy night. That's how you, I hate to use the word punishment, but that's kind of how it is.
This is a 7-day-a-week establishment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'd be willing to give the option of the 3-day suspension, 1 day being a prime day of Friday or Saturday, and the other 2 days that they could pick within a 2-week period of time. So if they want to put all 3 together, that's fine. If they want to put 2 in 1 week, 1 in the other week, that's fine. But at least gives them the opportunity to make a little bit of a business decision as to what works best for them. But I agree with you. I agree with Doc. 1 has to be a prime day. This has to send the message. We don't want any other establishment ever having this issue.
Yeah.
Again, I could, as far as closing at 11,
Same with me.
You want to just,
So is it something that they'll come back to us with the dates, or?
yeah, they would have to submit them to the town manager.
Katie.
Yeah.
Or Katie, yeah.
So we say one would have to be a Friday or Saturday, and the other 2.
It'd be 3 days in total over a 2-week
Yeah.
period of time.
Okay.
Reasonable?
Yeah, and 1 has to be a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Friday or Saturday.
I apologize, Friday, Saturday.
You girls good with that?
I'm very-
And a reprimand letter, obviously, is got to be in the
Yeah.
file.
Got to be in the
Sounds
file.
like a plan.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Someone want to,
Do you have a concern, Chief?
No, there's just a process. They do have to turn the license in, so I am going to need notification on the suspensions prior.
Yep.
So they have to turn the license in, whatever days they decide. So they have to be available to turn it in.
Yeah.
They have to be available to come pick it up as well, whatever day they
Yeah.
decide, so.
So do we want to put it like, say, it's got to be sometime in the next month? Like, we don't want.
Oh, no, I think this needs to be, you know, is there a time, do they have any opportunity for,
There is a right to appeal.
okay, so what's that time frame?
You had to ask me. I believe
Yep.
it's 10 days.
10 days. So I would say it would be after the 10 days, immediately after the 10 days.
Okay. So if we're gonna give them so basically that's a month from now, because we're gonna give them, they have 10 days to appeal, and then we said a 2-week period, they had to pick.
During that 2-week period, so it's
So we have
really.
two- 2 weeks and 10 days.
Week
So,
3 and
yeah.
week 4.
So I would maybe just say a month from tonight, that all 3 suspensions, if they don't, plus with an appeal, it would have to be on a night we're meeting, right? They have to, do they appeal to us, or they appeal to the
No, they go to
state?
the
appeal would go to the
state.
ABCC.
Okay. Is there what's the time period there? So you're saying 10 days, but would they find out sooner, or is it like?
No, they would.
Then it's put on hold.
Then it's put on hold. So in
Okay.
other words, they have that period of time to file essentially a notice of appeal. And when that happens, the decision or the punishment is held in abeyance pending the outcome of the appeal. And then what you have is something that's a little bit like a trial, more or less, but through an administrative agency, so more in a conference room than a courtroom type thing. And then the ABCC is very busy, so it will take, I just had a case that took, I think, over a year to get a decision on.
I didn't think it was going to be that quick myself. I forgot about the process of the appeal, but I didn't really feel
Is there
like
any
it was that
potential
quick.
more jeopardy to them if they do go to the ABCC?
I don't.
They're probably just appealing that.
Other than if the ABCC somehow sent it back on a remand and, supported the board's reasoning, but found some technicality and provided the board an avenue to be even more severe in the punishment. I don't think that would happen, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So why don't we do this? All right. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you if you plan to appeal, because you guys might want to think about that. I know you said you were here and you weren't going to fight anything, but you need to listen to your attorney and think of what the process is for you guys. So we're not going to hold you to that. Why don't we say by 2 weeks from now, like at the next meeting, we should know whether they've appealed or not?
No, I think we vote what our.
Oh, no. We're
thing
going
is.
to vote what we're going to do, but what I'm saying is, at that point, we can talk about dates. Because if they don't appeal.
No, we don't have to talk about dates at all, though. All we have to do is come down with our finding for the violation.
Yeah.
And then if they appeal, that changes it. If they don't appeal, then they're going to be submitting their dates in. We don't have to have another step, is what I'm saying. There's no.
Well, you were talking about 2 weeks, have it within 2 weeks, like,
Yeah,
and
but
stuff
there's
like
no
that,
second
so-
step for us once we tell them
Okay.
that this is our decision.
Okay, all right.
All right, so are we agree, letter of reprimand, a 3-day suspension over a 2-week period after the 10 days.
10-day.
After the 10-day
Appeal.
right of appeal. And one of the 3 days in the suspension has to be a Friday or a Saturday.
So moved. How's
Any
that?
other discussion? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Sure.
Come up, come up.
Yeah, no.
Number one, if they do not appeal and they turn the license in, does it come to the selectmen or does it go to the police?
Goes to the chief, I think. Oh, no, really?
It technically goes to the licensing.
Licensing authority, okay.
The problem is if it's on the weekend, we will have to work that out, and I will hold it. If it's a Saturday,
Right.
I'll turn it in the morning.
Yep.
And
Get it back on a Saturday, Sunday
unless
morning.
you want to come in, Katie, on the weekend.
Bring the girls in.
And then the other
Yeah.
question is if we just decide to waive our 10-day right of appeal, would town council take the waiver, and so we can do it sooner rather than later?
We can memorialize that, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we can exchange contact information
Yeah,
before I leave, so we can coordinate on that.
Okay, good.
That's fine.
All right, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do ask that I just collect the photos back.
Sure.
Because
I wrote on them, but I wrote on mine also.
Oh, they wrote all over them.
you need it? Like, I can.
No, no,
Scrap
no.
paper.
No, but
No, we
I
don't
didn't know
wanna
if you were
have it.
going to use it for something else.
Images where there's
Yep.
people involved. who are
Yep,
involved.
yep. Fine. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Is that where I am? Oh, we're going to reorganize. Okay. Okay, so as everyone knows, Doc was reelected. Amy was elected a couple of weeks ago. Bill was away, so we were waiting to reorganize. So we need to take motions for nomination for chair, vice chair, and clerk.
Motion to appoint Bill Euchner as chair.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other motions for anybody else?
Motion
Okay.
to, oh, just on chair?
Yeah.
one at a
yeah,
time.
Yep. Okay, great. No other motions? All right. We had a second, so any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to appoint Stephanie McGowan as vice chair.
I'll second.
Okay, anybody else for vice chair? All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to appoint Amy as the clerk of the select board.
Second.
Anyone else? Funny to say this, anybody else for clerk? It's all yours, darling, no, so, okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, one and all.
Yes.
Good, you couldn't get out of that clerk's position fast enough.
I never mastered it either.
Okay, all right, so, we have a common vic application. Okay, here we go. Let me, Where's my name? Owner.
Number 5.
Under me, Foxborough.
Under number 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I not see a name in front of me? Oh, I just have the establishment. So I know the establishment.
Yeah, done.
Yeah.
You want me to take over?
How do you see your name?
Yeah.
Yes, my name is Minh Hiu Tranval. I'm represent for the Banh Foxborough.
Okay, great. So you're the new owner?
Yes,
You're
I'm
the new owner, okay. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, about, as far as with the business, do you own any other business? Is this your first restaurant, or?
Yes, I came here since 2014, and since there I doing the business. After the first year, I worked for a seafood company in seafood and the seaport, and after that, I opened the nail salon. I still have the 2 nail salon running, and I'm partnership with my friends for a Vietnamese restaurant in the Chester. And this is my second one. I'm doing it myself, and I still have one more in Quincy that I'm still waiting for the permit.
Okay. Any questions? Paige?
As Bami's first customer, when it opened, what is the plan for moving forward? Because I know Foxborough residents love the restaurant, and just curious, I know it's been closed for a bit, so do you plan on changing it? Do you plan on reopening soon? And just a little bit of information for all of us who love the Bami sandwiches.
Yes, thank you for your question. My plan is after all the permit, everything is all set. I try to open as soon as possible. Right now, all the renovation that already done. I just repaint it, make a little bit change for decoration, and everything mostly keep the old one. I just changing a little bit, and the staff still the same. Everything almost the same.
Great. So the sandwiches will be there.
Yes.
Great.
And for someone who called last Monday and really looking forward to a banh mi sandwich, I didn't even know they were closed. I walked all the way there and I looked in the window and, so I'm glad that they're reopening or you're reopening.
And let us know, we can help, for businesses, we're always willing to do ribbon cuttings or any sort of announcements. We're willing to help share the word, because I know Foxborough residents greatly enjoy this restaurant, and they'll want to know when it reopens.
Yeah, thank you.
There's also a group called the Foxborough Common Business Collaborative that you might want to get involved in. We meet once a month, second Wednesday of the month in the morning.
On Zoom.
On Zoom.
So you don't have to go.
Yeah. If you'd like to join, we just share a lot of different information and things like that. You might be interested in.
Yeah.
Help you
Yeah,
out.
I mean, if you'd like to do a second ribbon cutting, we do love the ribbon cutting, but either way, I mean, Mara can throw something on social media that when you have the date that you're reopening and, just so people know.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Thank you a lot for your help.
So we need to vote this?
Yep, any other questions?
No.
All right.
Motion to approve a common vicular application for Dong Hu?
Yes.
Is that right? LLC doing business as Banh Mi, Foxborough, located at 8 Wall Street.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Looking forward to it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have boards, committees, and commissions. Usually they'll finish up and then you'll be the grand poobah next meeting.
Yeah, that's been tradition. She finishes.
Okay. Okay, so, Katie, tell us again, you have to read every single
file? No, not the whole file, just the whole Excel, just a
Okay.
page and a half. So if anyone wants to turn the TV off or.
Everybody get ready to take a nap.
Go to the bathroom, get
It's
popcorn.
this and liquor licenses that really, Katie looks forward to.
Very much so. So I'm just going to read the board name and the individual being reappointed. At the bottom of the agenda is more information, just that the select board is the appointing authority, how long their term will be. So we will get started.
It can be one big motion.
Right, yes. Agricultural Commission, Edward Lawton. Board of Recreation, Diana Griffin, Melissa Mailing, Doug Seuss. Board of Registrars, Charlotte Jones. Cable Television Advisory Committee, Mark Stopa, David Uden. Capital Improvement Planning Committee, Amy Beardos, Paige Duncan, Chris Gallagher, Bill Yukna. Child Sexual Abuse Awareness Committee, Amy Beardos, Doug Seuss. Cleanup Foxborough Committee, Arthur Dooley, Joe Garrity, Michael Marcella, Nathan Ehrman. Conservation Commission, Robert Bodie, Rebecca Kelly, Tunya Orlando. Council on Aging / Human Services Advisory Board, Marcia, does anyone know how to pronounce her last name? Lewick?
Lewicki?
Lewicki, apologies. Janet O'Neill, Elaine Repoff, Design Review Board, Maria Schuster, Gary Whitehouse, Economic Development Committee, Sarah Francomano, Heather Harding, Linda Hunter, John Mahoney, Thomas Murphy, Kevin Poyer. Employee Insurance Advisory Committee, Owen Bonert, Sean Buckley, Tim Daniels, Robert Garland, Thomas Gill, Timothy Golden, Jess Minton, Jeffrey Whitehouse, Foxborough Commission on Disability, Lorraine Capone, Cynthia Curran, Robert Seitman, Foxborough Cultural Council, Richard Benoit, Ken Carberry, Teddy Jurette, GATRA Advisory Board, Catherine Fierick, Historic District Commission, David Devine, Christian Edgar, Emil Bowen. For Historical Commission, Emil Bowen, Liquor Control Agents, Megan Allen, Sean Buckley, Adam Burns, John Chamberlain, Lucas Drayton, Dave Escaldo, Michael Grace, Patrick Hoffman, Richard Noonan, MBTA Advisory Board, Paige Duncan, and Catherine Fierick as the alternative. Metropolitan Area Planning Council, Catherine Fierick, Municipal Hearings Officer Paige Duncan, Norfolk County Advisory Board, Cyril Duma, Permanent Municipal Building Committee, William Cass, Michael O'Leary, William Yukna, Personnel Board, Carrie Weston, Semrick Board of Directors, Paige Duncan, Southeastern MA Commuter Rail Task Force, Catherine Fierick, Stadium Advisory Committee, Joel Angelico, George Bell, Randall Briggs, Blair Green, John Hardy, Ronald Hogden, Dennis Olson, and Nathan Weber. Survey Board, William Buckley, Michael Kelleher, Scott Chippy. Town Asset Review Committee, Lorraine Brew, Barney Overt, Kevin Weinfield. Town Council, Jason Tellerman. Veteran Services Advisory Committee, Mark Bouchier, Naomi Bouchier, Adam Burns, John Conley, William Dudley, Cyril Duma, Mike Kerr, Richard Luston, Bertha Maloof, Patricia Shea, Colin Sweeney, Doug Silvestre, Gary Whitehouse, and Zoning Board of Appeals, Blair Crane, Eric Hogberg, and Barney Overett.
Well done.
Good job.
Wow,
Thank you.
That was good, Kate.
All right.
Okay, I gotta scroll back up. Hold on. Sorry. Motion to reappoint members of Foxborough boards, committees, and commissions for new terms, just as read.
Second.
Under discussion, we still stuck to no more than people or no more than 2 boards.
Right.
And not that I think this is an issue, but if we didn't want to appoint somebody, would we have had to like call out somebody specifically? I didn't think of that, we're just gonna do one. I don't think, does anybody have any problem with anybody? Okay, all right. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay, great. All right, next up we have, we did, over the last couple of months, the board, Amy obviously had gotten on the board afterwards, Doc was already on the board, so we did Paige's town manager evaluation. We were all given a form to fill out with rating by numbers, and we could give some comments, and so I sat down with our HR director, Mike Mullen, and what he did was he compiled everything. He and I sat down. I was able to see all the scores, all the comments, and then he put them all together so we could sit down and, he tabulated everything so we know the averages. And then the comments, there were a lot of repeats. We all, some of the certain things that we all had a little piece, so he compiled everything, and we talked today, and he asked if I wanted to go over it. I thought it might be just easier for him, because that's what he does. So he's gonna go over, and after each criteria, if anybody has a question or a comment on what he's presented to us, we can kind of just stop like in between, and I guess including you, Paige, if you have any questions. So, okay, great. So, Mike, you're up.
No, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just at the outset, as we mentioned in the memo to the board back in, I think, March, this process is a critically important process. The feedback and the individual and the aggregate feedback and the is critical, really, in the relationship between the board and the town manager. And I think overall, we updated the process at the beginning of the evaluation process at the beginning. I think collectively, I think we all identified areas where we can be more efficient, streamlined, and so forth. Like next year's evaluation process too. But I really think having gone through it, gone through the 360-degree evaluation process at the beginning, I'm informed by our department heads and boards and committee chairs, and then with the feedback by the town managers, self-evaluation, and then informed by the board. I really do think you have a well thought out, constructive evaluation for the town manager this year. So, I won't actually be as quick as Katie going through the board and committee process. I was actually expecting a little longer. So, but Nice job, Katie. But really, the criteria, our page was rated and evaluated by the board like in a total of 13 areas. And of those 13 areas, I believe 8 of those areas were, really like general proficiency areas. And then evaluation criteria 9 through 13 were based on the fiscal year 2025 goals that both Paige and the board identified and agreed upon actually about a year ago now. So just actually beginning at the top, in the first evaluation criteria, leadership and staff effectiveness, there were actually 5 subcategories within that, ranging from providing a staff and employee direction to gaining the trust in the respective employees, motivating employees to give their best and develop their potential. Of all those 5 criteria on that, of a rating scale, I just want to back up. I want to actually notice, I'll share the rating scale, just as I go through this process. There is that context. There's a rating scale, a 0, is not applicable. 1 needs improvement. 2 is ongoing. 3 is achieved, and 4 exceeds expectations. So I apologize for that, but just going back to leadership and staff effectiveness, Paige had an aggregate rating by the board of 3.09. The overall comment by the board in this area was Paige has a strong relationship with town staff and department heads and is recognized as an effective leader. Building on her success in this area, it is recommended that she continue to provide consistent support and guidance to department heads in moving town projects forward. Any questions, feedback, comments on that? Okay, moving into number 2, planning and organizing. There were actually 7 criteria that went into this rating. Paige in this area had an aggregate board rating of 3.10, and the general comment was Paige shows great organizing skills. She's always ready to gain information and help from staff, department heads, and other sources. Any questions, comments on that? Hearing none. The third criteria, which include 5 subcategories, is communication and community relations. In this area, Paige received an aggregate board rating of 3.24. The general comment was Paige has strong communication skills and keeps the select board up to date on issues, needs, and operations. The select board and Paige share a great working relationship. Questions, comments, feedback? None? Criteria 4. Problem solving, innovation, and decision making. There were 4 sub-criteria in here. Paige received an overall rating of 3.08 from the board. Paige has demonstrated strong problem-solving skills and has done well stepping into the town manager role without experience, actively learning, and seeking help when needed. As she continues to gain experience as a new town manager, it is important for her to rely on town council appropriately, being mindful of her costs while gradually reducing reliance on them as her expertise grows. Comments, feedback? No? Number 5, budget financial management. There were 6 subcategories in here. Paige received an overall rating of 3.13. The general comment from the board was Paige has made good project in managing the budget, particularly with the challenge of increasing costs. Her efforts to control expenses are evident, and her knowledge of the budget and process has greatly improved. She has successfully brought in a budget within the set parameters, receiving positive feedback. However, As budget management is a critical aspect of the town manager role, it remains an area for continued growth. While the town has a strong finance department, it is important for Paige to become more proficient and confident in presenting her understanding of the town's finances to others. Questions, feedback? Number 6, customer service quality. Customer service and service quality. There were 4 sub-criteria under this. Paige received an aggregate rating from the board of 3.04. The general comment is as follows. Paige is clearly approachable and ensures that she and town employees prioritize customer and resident service. While no one can satisfy everyone, it is important to consistently ensure that resident concerns are carefully considered and acknowledged. As Paige continues to settle into the role, this is an area where she can refine her approach to help residents feel fully heard. Overall, town hall morale is at an all-time high. Any comments, feedback? Number 7, personal, professional, in organization, integrity, and judgment. There were 4 subcategories in this aspect. Paige received the overall rating from the board of a 2.99. The general comment is Paige's confidence in her role is growing. She knows when to seek help and is proactive in doing so. Her effectiveness is reflected in there being fewer complaints and grievances. Comments? Number 8, cross-departmental and organizational management. There were 2 subcategories in this area. Paige received an overall rating from the board of 3.23. The general comment was Paige routinely meets with department heads and does a great job bringing everyone together to get the job done. Now we're moving in to the review of prior year goals. The first goal was communication to improve transparency and trust by increasing citizen engagement and opportunities for resident feedback. There were 7 sub-goals identified in this area. Paige received an overall rating of 2.79, where the general comment is as follows. Transparency, engagement, trust, and feedback with the citizens of Foxborough will always be ongoing as different town topics arise. This is inherent to the role. Paige's updates are concise, thorough, and demonstrate her involvement and attention to detail. Questions, comments? The second goal, work closely with finance officials to protect and enhance the financial health of the town. There are 4 subcategories under this criteria. Paige received an aggregate rating of 3.05. General comment is Paige works well with the finance department and understands that increases in many budget areas are a challenge for both the town and its residents. She continues to seek out grants and economic growth opportunities to help address this. Questions? The next goal includes issues relating to human resources management and labor relations. There are 7 sub-goals under this heading. In this area, Paige received an aggregate evaluation score of 3.07. Paige has been working hard to foster a positive culture in Foxborough and ensure it remains an attractive place to work. She has made excellent hires, which has contributed to the continued success of the town. Any questions, comments? No? Number 12, promote the economic vitality of the town through strategic land use and planning initiatives. There are 5 sub-goals included here. Paige received an overall evaluation rating from the board of a 2.80. The general comment was Paige's experience as a town planner will allow her to continue to support economic development as town manager. And the last goal, to begin a strategic planning effort, just as one overarching goal. Paige received an overall evaluation from the board of 2.75. The board's general comment is as follows. While the process of gaining funding for this at the annual town meeting is in process, this could have been considered at the fall special town meeting. That said, it isn't the highest priority of the town, but during the evaluation period, a little progress has been made. So of those 13 criteria categories, our page received from the scores and like an overall select board rating of 3.03. That is with all those 13 criteria averaged together, and with each of those criteria averaged together by each of the scores of the board members. Just really quick, highlighting the accomplishments that were identified by the board. There were many, but just really to read them. Number one, maintain strong, effective relationships with department heads and employees. Number two, successful recruitment of key staff, HR director, the land use director, the assistant DPW director, like in the new town council. And Paige also supported the new land use director to get the MBTA community zoning bylaw adopted. Number three, balanced budget with fiscal policy upgrades. Number four, strengthen core administrative functions in the town manager's office, including communications, select board support, legal services, and overall operational efficiency. And number five, led successful union negotiations and works well with unions. Number six, a development of town-to-resident communication plan and regular community outreach engagement, including attendance at numerous community events. And number seven, I'll manage the purchase of and coordinate improvements at the 76 Main Street. In terms of the suggestions identified by the board, number one, there were suggestions around our financial management and sustainability as follows. Bless you. They are to explore ways to balance the increases in the town budget with options to minimize the impact on seniors and other residents who may be most impacted by rising costs. Ensure that capital improvement plan purchases are sustainable to ensure long-term financial sustainability. Be aware of costs, particularly related to town council, and communicate financial updates to the select board as needed. The second area relates to community engagement and communication. There is an ongoing need to continue strengthening communication with the community, including more opportunities for residents to meet in small groups to discuss concerns and interests. Reaching out to local organizations like the Lions, JCs, and seniors for Q&A sessions can help build broader support. And then a focus on improving overall communication is crucial to foster a better understanding and transparency. And then the last area, leadership and operational efficiency, continued growth in the area of fiscal management while working closely with department heads to support their efforts and better understand the challenges they face. And as part of that too, Paige should be mindful of overextending herself and delegate tasks when possible to ensure efficiency. So that all went in to an overall evaluation comment based on all the comments and also the overall evaluation comments that were received as part of the evaluation. And that overall evaluation comment reads, in her first full year as town manager, Paige has made a strong start. Stepping into the role without prior town manager experience, she has demonstrated a strong ability to adapt, learn quickly, and lead effectively. She has built solid relationships with department heads, staff, and the board, and shown a commitment to collaboration, responsiveness, and follow-through on board direction. She has also worked to successfully negotiate multiple employee contracts with only one still in progress. While there is always room for continued growth, as with any new leadership role, Paige is on a positive track towards becoming an even more effective and confident leader for the town. That really takes us through all the board's feedback with the comments, the overall evaluation comments and the rating. I thought, really my personal take, I thought it was a very thorough, constructive and well thought evaluation process. And happy to open it up to any questions or comments. I mean, as I mentioned before, this process is really between the board and the town manager, but I was happy to help I'll facilitate the process and bring it to a head this evening.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, Mike, thanks, for what you did as far as the effort you put in. I thought you were very neutral and I think positive in the way you basically looked at what we had as an evaluation tool, what changes we could make in working with that. So I thought that really was very helpful in the process. Obviously, those comments aren't your comments, they're our comments. But, I think your coordination of it was very well done, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I ditto what Bill said. It's hard, when we sit down to do these, everybody has a different, like you have a scale to work with. Everybody, has you have had, the four of us and Dennis trying to come together. People are gonna say, okay, the score's in one column. Everyone's gonna have their own mind of what is the best, what is, and then when you put it all together, I thought it was a favorable review. Your comments are here. Do you want Mike to read your comments so everyone knows, or would you like to read your comments, or do you have anything you want to say to the board about your evaluation?
Well, I can just summarize. I won't read them verbatim, but I just want to thank you. And, I was a little nervous about the 360 review, but it ended up being very informative. And this whole process has actually been very positive for me to hear the feedback of the board members, sitting down one-on-one with each board member and receiving some suggestions and feedback. Please know that I wrote those down and I will be incorporating them into my action plan for next year. And I agree overall. I feel comfortable with this review. I'm appreciative of all the time you took and believing in me and giving me the opportunity to continue on. And but I did find some positive, some constructive feedback through this process that will inform me moving forward. So I appreciate that.
Great. Deb, do you have anything?
No, I don't. It was,
gentlemen?
as a first timer, it was it was a little daunting at first. Thank you for wrapping it all up so well. That I didn't know that this was how it was going to end, because I didn't know, but I liked the ending. So thank you for all that you did in leading us in this process.
Team effort. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was an interesting process. First time, I mean, I did, evaluation for Bill, but first time to sit down with the HR director. Doc, you've done it before. And it was great. It was, Mike did a great job just going right across. And believe it or not, a lot of the comments were very similar. It was very easy for him to say, this one, that one, that one. Okay, they all pretty much say the same thing, and he kind of threw them all together. So I thought it was a really good process. New way for us to do it, and I guess, in a year from now, we'll decide if we're going to carry on the same way, but good. I'm glad it was a good experience, I think, for all of us. So, all right.
So with that, Madam Chair, members of the board, I would recommend that the board vote to approve and adopt the consensus evaluation as presented to the board this evening.
Sure. Motion to approve the presented FY 2025 Town Manager Review.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks so much, Mike. That was great.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so next up is a discussion about Chestnut Green. Paige, do you want to kind of
Sure.
lead that? I mean, I guess to give, did her comments went to all the select board members, right? We got an email. Either that or Doc, I mean, you and Paige met, so, I mean.
Let's back up.
Yeah, this is different.
So tonight's discussion has to do with the, Chestnut Green is under new ownership, and the new HUD rates have come out. So then, therefore, that is what they use to establish their affordable rents. There are affordable units in Chestnut Green. And it's mandated based on the area and median income, how those rents are calculated. So they've provided this document. It comes to us first, and then it goes to the state. In consultation with Jay, I will say that we've been told that in other towns, it's sometimes done by the planner or whatnot, but Jay Tallerman did recommend it come to the select board. But he did also mention that it's somewhat of a perfunctory review. I mean, the numbers are based on the HUD numbers, and it's sort of established that way. What Stephanie is referring to is, so that's what's in front of us tonight. However, prior to this time, we have had some feedback from some of the residents at Chestnut Green about concerns around the new ownership and some rents and other things that I don't necessarily want to get into tonight. Doc and I did meet with two of the residents and have been working with them a bit. At first, we thought perhaps there was some involvement of the town because I misunderstood and thought that some of the concerns were related to affordable units, and those are regulated by the state and through our regulatory agreement. Upon further review, it seems that the units were the market rate, and when I did, confirm with the state that developers have the right or owners have the right to charge rent as they see fit. So we've continued to try to be supportive of the residents, but also our hands are somewhat tied. Today, when I got back from vacation and I saw that this matter was on the agenda, this took place while I was gone, I did reach out to one of the residents that's been most vocal to let her know of this discussion. And I cautioned that really it is perfunctory, and I didn't want to give the impression that they could come in here and that the board would do anything different, but I also didn't want to be, less than forthcoming and not let her know that it was on. I did receive an email back from the resident today, just a few minutes ago, and she did thank us, but she did say, well, I would hope the board wouldn't take any action while some of these matters are being addressed. So there's that. And again, they're unrelated.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
I'm sorry, I was confusing them because we were getting, and then you were away. When we had the agenda preparation, we had a little discussion because we had gotten the email, so I was putting the two of them together.
Yeah, unrelated. This is more towards affordable housing, and the other issues don't have anything to do with affordable housing.
And are these values that are established just for Chestnut Green, or are they for pretty much any HUD-based housing in Foxborough?
Well, I haven't looked in detail at these amounts, but I would assume, and I would have to verify this, but I would assume that since they're based on area median income, it's going to be a fixed number across the board. And that's what one of the residents did say, well, have any other apartments been doing this? And the answer is no. Actually, in my whole time here, I've been here almost 10 years, I don't recall us being involved in doing this for any project. So it is an interesting thing. I know that the prior Chestnut Green wasn't doing probably what they were supposed to be doing, so I don't know if that follows through for the others, and it's something I'll have to talk to Catherine about. But I believe the rents will be fixed. If it's an 80% area median income, it's going to be 80% across the board. If it's 60 or 50 or 30, so
like the new housing on Walnut Street that has, under the HUD thing, those units should be effectively
yes,
for one bedroom.
Yes, unless there's, and then there were also utility allowances mentioned in there. Yeah. That is probably project specific, I would imagine, based on it. But I will admit I don't know a whole lot about this. We've seen the regulatory agreements come through the Zoning Board of Appeals, and like I said, they've never been probably executed properly in that I think Chestnut Green should have been in here every year or every few years doing this, and I don't recall that they or any other projects have, so it's something to put on our file to check into. I don't know if the burden's on us. I think the burden's actually on the owner and the developer, but that's no excuse.
Who sent us these rates?
The new owners.
The owners did, so it didn't come from the state.
No.
So-
And in fact, I tried to ignore it because I don't have time for this, honestly, and it was like I had to do too much work to do it, and I didn't know. And so he basically said, no, we kind of need you, but in reality, most of the time, it's just a planner saying, yeah, this is fine. And that's probably true because you just check, it's pretty basic, but I asked Jay because...
You don't have an option to modify a rate.
Right. But I did ask Jay in that it was so contentious and we had so much going on, I wanted to make sure we didn't take any missteps in that regard.
Okay. So the motion is effectively just to approve the,
And I do want to also clarify that, what do you need?
I'm sorry, but I don't have a motion on there, Amy, I'm sorry, but should this be for
That's okay.
for
Can
them
I-
to approve, you to sign it?
Sure, yeah, so if you want to authorize me to sign it. I will also say, though, just for the folks watching at home who live in Chestnut Green or have concerns, that, Scott Shippey, our building commissioner, zoning enforcement officer, has received some emails and is looking into some matters, so it's not, our hands have been tied to a point, but if there is anything actionable, we are going to follow through and look into it, but at this point, the advice of our council has been that this is not related to those matters.
which makes sense.
Okay, so it should just be motion.
You're just gonna freshen it up after I say it, okay? Motion to approve the request for affordable unit rent increases at Chestnut Green and allowing Paige to sign for it.
I would just say our town manager.
Town manager, Paige Duncan.
Yeah, yeah. I know it's sticky, but.
That's okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Paige, you are up.
Okay. I see I'm a little behind. This is my notes. Usually I'm a little more organized, but being back one day, it's messy. But I don't want to bury the lead. The big news is Foxborough has been approved for a AAA bond rating again.
Wow.
So we are thrilled to announce that. It's quite significant. I want to find the notes I had here because I highlighted a few notes. The ratings reflect our view of Foxborough's continued positive finances and high reserves, backed by comprehensive and robust financial management policies and plans, which we view as comparable to those to similarly rated peers. Basically, they consider us a stable local economy, strong reserves, robust and comprehensive financial management, manageable debt with a large portion consisting of self-supported debt and manageable overall fixed costs. The stable outlook reflects S&P's global ratings opinion of Foxborough's strong management, and they note that Foxborough has maintained positive finances during the past several years, which we attribute to conservative and prudent budgeting. So they're noticing that. And the town is in compliance with all debt policy metrics. And finally, Foxborough funds 100% of its actuarially determined contribution, and actual contributions exceeded our view of minimal funding progress as well as static funding. That's with respect to the pension system. So they did note, all the hard work that Foxborough has been doing, and obviously what this translates to is more favorable borrowing and reflects our stable finances. So that's our exciting news. We were just allowed to announce that today. My announcement with respect to SEMREC is that I'm now the vice chair of SEMREC.
Congratulations.
I think, is that a congratulations? But no, that it's, it's a great organization up there, and I'm honored. The communications update on that is, one thing for the residents to note, the newsletter program is changing a bit. Maura jumped right into the newsletter, and we found it was taking all of her time to do a monthly newsletter. So our new plan is to do quarterly newsletter with monthly one-page or two double-sided updates, more brief, because I need Maura to be available to do other things besides write that newsletter. And she was doing a tremendous job, but it really was a work of a full-time job for the month. So stay tuned. We're still committed. I might have mentioned they're going to make me make videos because some people don't want to read documents. So now I have to make embarrassing videos. They want me to go viral. So watch out. But I did do one test video, and I said, Maura, it's really bad. And she watched it and she said, you're right. So we're trying to figure out how to do it because, making a video is not my natural thing. So stay tuned for that, but we are still committed. We're just looking at various means of outreach because not everybody wants to read a 10-page newsletter. We're trying to find a way to ensure that we can reach everybody. Walnut Knoll had their first lottery, apparently, and I haven't heard any updates on that, but my understanding is they continue to be ahead of schedule, and the traffic light is kind of the driving force on their schedule at this point. So right now, according to Chris Gallagher, the traffic signal deadline is July 15th. So we should have a signal in at Walnut Street and 95 by July 15th. So we're just about a month and a half away.
And at that time, will the roadway be done and stuff?
We hope, yes. Yes.
That was my question.
Yes. In theory, everything's supposed to be wrapped up, I believe, because of the grant. So, but then again, I thought everything had to be by June 30th, and it says July 15th, so what do I know? Let's see, we have Founder's Day on June 7th. There's a video that's gone, I don't know if it's gone out yet, but on Walnut Knoll, we did do an informational video in the studio of Foxborough Cable Access. I haven't yet seen it. I can't, how bad is it?
Fabulous. Very informative.
Yeah, great. And then with respect to, I've been asked to advertise, and I put the pressure on Catherine today because there is a charrette planned for the master plan next Tuesday, and I don't feel that there's been sufficient advertising around it, so we're going to be trying to go out heavy in the next week, but next Tuesday afternoon at the community center, there'll be one during the day, and there'll also be one at 6 p.m. in the evening. So it's the first charrette of it, but it's the sort of overarching charrette regarding the master plan, and then there'll be another one on growth nodes, I think another one on Neponset. So we have engagement, but we really are hopeful that residents will show up next Tuesday on one of the two sessions. There'll be more information forthcoming with specifics, but this is a great opportunity to be heard. There's also been some surveys put out, so I hope folks have checked that there's a master plan page. And again, the master plan looks out 10 years, so we're updating the master plan from 2015, so this is your chance to be heard. And if you recall, some of the projects that were approved uptown were basically justified by the master plan. So we do use that as a benchmark or a map for the future. So residents, please get involved. If you can't come Tuesday, check out the surveys, engage with our planning department and Catherine, because she really does want to hear from residents in whatever way it works for the residents. I have some construction updates. Thank you. Oh, yeah. What is this? Community Center grand opening. Oh, we held our Community Center grand opening on May 16th. Obviously, I wasn't there, but I heard it went great. I got to go to the Community Center today, and wow, it's fabulous. So, and it's active. There's lots of residents there. Walnut Knoll has rented out Peabody Properties, the developers of Walnut Street project. They're actually renting our old senior center. So it's twofold. It's a local presence, but we're also making a little bit of money to cover the cost of some of the upkeep over there and keep it from being empty and having to get a vacant policy. So that's a win. They'll be there, and we believe it through September or October. So, and big thank you to Katie for helping working out some of those logistics. From a construction update, the sewer on North High Street started today, and they expect that will go for a couple weeks. As I mentioned, the traffic signal deadline for Walnut Street is July 15th. And I did ask about the farm stand, because I happened to notice the parking lot problem. So Chris Gallagher said that Walsh and Connie and he are working together to work out logistics on that. So we are aware of the farm stand conflict, and Chris is working hard to try to make sure that we don't impede on the farm stand operation. Mill and paving of Market Street and Rock Hill and Joanna and Beaumont Pond are scheduled for the end of June, early July.
Wow, that's
So
great.
stay tuned. And I think that's all I have for an update. Oh, and tomorrow I'm heading to a conference for the town managers, and I'll be gone through Friday, which is just perfect timing considering I've been back to work for one day. But I will be reachable, bringing my computer, so I'm not in Spain.
Under Select Board update, just touching off what Paige said, all 5 of us were at the community center grand opening. It was fabulous. There were so many people. Both Bill and I got a chance to say a few words. Everybody that got up and talked. It was just, it was a feel-good, for me, a feel-good moment, from this board. Somebody bring it to us, all this work was behind the scene, was much more than us, but for us to bless it from the beginning and then have everything come together perfect. It was great, a great, lots of kudos to so many people, right?
And, one of the great things about the community center is how incredibly large the parking lot is. Packed. There wasn't a spot. Yeah, the people had to park on the side streets and walk over. It was quite the event.
Well, and you know what, so it's like, we go up and we sit down, so our back is to everybody.
Yeah.
And then when we get up, did you feel the same way? When we get up to talk, all of a sudden you're like, look at all these people.
Yeah.
It was like all the way to the back of the room. It's like, like you saw them as you were coming in, people coming in, but I think once we sat, then you realize it was great. It was really, really
And
good.
Mark was beaming.
Mark
was beaming.
Exactly.
Having gone over it today for the first time and, seeing the little touches like the Foxborough on the stage and the banners, I mean, those were things that those was all just Mark on his own coming up with. Heroes Hall, I mean, that was really impressive. And, but also just from a community perspective, to have such a large space for the community to meet, as we want to do community meetings and whatnot. That's been one thing we've never had, McGinty Library. Here, we really couldn't accommodate a lot of people, and it really does give us the opportunity. You don't often see 300 people together in a room, but it's good to have that option.
More people there than a town meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you are right. That's funny.
So, that was great. Memorial Day was great. The girls represented on it was funny, I said to Mark, I said, the girls will be here today, so Deb and Amy and I were there. We marched in the parade. It was a beautiful day. Again, kudos to Michelle and her crew, everybody else, all the little things, scouts putting out the flags, people putting out chairs, just to bring the whole thing together. It was a great ceremony, and so Michelle and her crew did a great job. I said it when we had our small little meeting. I don't even know who watched us when we came in just to do that one little vote, but I want to officially, at official meeting, welcome Amy.
Thank you.
And we're happy to have you. Obviously, welcome back, Doc. So I just want to make sure we said it did a real meeting, and I think this board, we're going to have a great year. So, and also, Deb has some information for Selectmen's update.
Oh, right, thank you. Time to sign up for the annual Jack Whitney Fishing Derby put on by the Rec Department. It's Sunday after Founder's Day, June 8th. It runs from 9 to 12 at the Lane property. Register by June 1st. The kids get a free t-shirt and a free lunch, and there'll be prizes for different age categories and the biggest fish caught of all. It's a great event. Hundreds of people, kids going fishing. Can't beat it.
Are you going to say anything else about it?
Like what? There's going to be people in fish costumes there?
So Heather Harding texted me and asked if I would come and help for the day. Deb, of course, is going to be there. And I think my job is going to be wearing one of the fish costumes that the kids get to take their picture with. So I said, all right, whatever you need, we'll do it. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's commitment.
There you go.
Gonna be a fish.
Somebody's got to be the fish, right? So, anybody else have anything for Selectmen's update?
Spinning off of your Memorial Day parade, I actually attended the after at the community center. I helped pass out food to the veterans and things like that. The interesting thing was seeing people walking from the common to the community center. That couldn't have happened at the other location. So they had probably 50 or more people there, in and out. And again, beaming, Mark and Michelle was really happy. So it was an overall really great day. So I just wanted to, people were walking with their kids. I mean, it was all different generations of people there. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great day.
We just extended uptown.
I know, you did.
Exactly. That's great. Okay, so we are up to action items.
Take a sip of water.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. This has to do.
25 seconds.
Motion to approve a use of public way application for the Foxborough Founder's Day Parade on June 7th, 2025. Parade route to start at 132 Central Street, Mechanic Street, Railroad Ave, and the end of South Street.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve the additional data sheet for the New England Patriots 2025 to 2026 football season under the 2025 annual entertainment license.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Donation, accept donation of 3 flagpoles valued at $4,090 for the new community center from Gary Whitehouse.
Second.
Any other discussion? Just thank you very much with much
Gratitude.
gratitude. Yeah,
Thank you,
with much
Gary.
gratitude. Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the donation of $2,815 from Lakeview Pavilion Foundation for funding museum pass programs.
Second.
Again, with great gratitude. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Motion to accept the donation of $250 from the Foxborough J.C.'s for funding museum pass programs.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the donation of $200 from the Bubnek, did I say that right? Bubenek, sorry, family for the Veterans Service Gift Fund.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept the donation of $500 from the foster family for the Veterans Services Gift Fund.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Motion to accept the donation of a Banh Boot Camp gift card for a door prize for the Ties and Tiaras recreation event valued at $229 donated by Banh Boot Camp Incorporated.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept donation of a gift basket for a door prize for the Ties and Tiaras recreation event valued at $200 donated by Clay Subaru.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept the donation of a gift basket for a door prize for the Ties and Tiara recreation event valued at $200 donated by an anonymous donor.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Motion to accept donation of $600 by the Florentino, Hutchinson, Saudi, and Waxman families for the Youth Police Program.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the donation of $1,050 by the Malcolmson, Zulu, Kelly, Malone, Hoyt, and Caracciolo. Thank you. Families for the Youth Police Program.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Motion to accept the donation of $300 for the Massachusetts Marine Trades Educational Trust for the Recreation Department.
Second.
Any other discussion? Under discussion, I instead of saying with gratitude under each one of them, I decided to wait till the very end. Much gratitude for all the donations. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve a common vicular application for 4K Restaurant Group LLC doing business as Estella Patriot Place located at 226 Patriot Place, Foxborough, Mass.
Second.
Under discussion, we know when they're opening up?
Still under construction. I know that they were waiting, but hopefully they'll have a date soon.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve an annual entertainment application for 4K Restaurant Group LLC doing business as Estella Patriot Place located at 226 Patriot Place, Foxborough, Massachusetts.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, sorry. Motion to approve Kay Anberg to the Foxborough Child Sexual Abuse Awareness Committee for a term to end May 31st, 2028.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to appoint Toby Romer to the Foxborough Child Sexual Abuse Awareness Committee for a term to end May 31st, 2028.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Motion to approve Joe Earhard as an associate member of the Recreation Board for a term to end May 31st, 2028.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve Kevin Davis to the Fence Viewer Committee for a term to end May 31st, 2026.
Second.
I have to ask, what is that fence viewer? I have to ask.
It's an,
Don't they like
it's
inspect
old,
the
it's
height?
back
Age
from-
old, yeah.
It's an age-old appointment that's never gone off the books. And I think
I
they,
don't-
but it was for cows too, wasn't it? Or is there a cow one?
Oh, was it the hog reaver?
Yeah.
The hog reaver.
Cows.
Thank you for asking that. I kind of was embarrassed. I didn't know.
You know me, I'm gonna ask.
And let me do the hog one too. Do we have anyone for that?
We got rid of that one.
Thank you, Kevin, thank you, Kevin Davis, for signing up. You're not Kevin, are you?
No, that's Joe.
No.
Joe.
Okay. Oh, my goodness. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve David Bachrock
Yep.
to the Foxborough Cultural Council for a term to end May 31st, 2028.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve Jess Enos to the Economic Development Committee for a term to end May 31st, 2026.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve Dennis Keefe to the Personnel Boards for a term to end May 31st, 2027.
Second.
Under discussion, are we still looking for, did you say, I mean, that's an important board, we still could use a couple of people?
We do have one opening, but there is someone that has applied. We just have a question for the town clerk when he officially comes back, so.
All right, great.
Good to see Dennis isn't sitting back and,
Exactly. I was gonna try to grab somebody to fill that spot. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
good, Dennis.
Motion to approve the recommendation of the Board of, recommendation of the Board of the Foxborough Housing Authority to appoint Heather Consika? I'm sorry if I,
That's an old field hockey name, isn't it?
as the
No, that was
tenant,
Canesco.
as the tenant representative to their board for a term to end May 31st, 2030.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve Select Board meeting minutes from April 29th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve Select Board meeting minutes from May 13th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.